Most investors don't fail because they lack intelligence. Plenty of smart people lose money. They fail for a quieter reason. They can't stay consistent when the market stops rewarding them immediately. At the worst possible moment, when headlines turn negative, prices drift, and every check of your account stings, many investors stop trusting the process. Not because the plan is proven wrong, but because uncertainty feels unbearable. In the last video, we talked about why psychology matters more than strategy. Because behavior, not brilliance, decides who survives drawdowns. Two people can use the same strategy. The one who manages emotions and routines is the one who actually captures the long-term edge. Today, I want to go one step further. I want to talk about the moment that makes good investors quit, the messy middle, right before the payoff finally shows up, when progress is invisible and doubt is loud. Even investors who understand the logic, who know patience is required, often quit right before things start working. They confuse not yet with not working, and they abandon the process right as compounding was about to begin. If you've only been investing for a few months, this probably isn't about you. You're still building basic habits, learning how prices move, how volatility feels, and how your own emotions respond. That stage is normal, and mistakes are part of the tuition. This is for people who've been investing for years, who've studied, tried different approaches, and still feel stuck. You've read the books, watched the videos, maybe even built a decent plan, yet the results don't match the effort, and the frustration keeps building. In investing, the hardest phase isn't the beginning, it's the middle, the stretch where progress is invisible and discipline gets tested every week. Nothing dramatic happens, but the lack of feedback slowly drains your conviction, and you start questioning everything you were sure about. In the middle, nothing is obviously working, but nothing is clearly broken either. It's just uncertainty, day after day, without a clean answer. And that ambiguity triggers overthinking and the urge to act just to feel in control. Markets reward consistency over time. Pain is immediate. Humans, however, are wired to respond to immediate pain, not delayed reward. So when returns are flat or negative, your brain treats patience like danger. Our brains aren't built for delayed feedback. We want quick confirmation and quick relief, right now. When we don't get that signal, we start searching for certainty, more news, more charts, more opinions, and more reasons to change the plan. This is where most investors tell themselves the wrong story, and the story feels rational, so it's hard to notice. They label discomfort as evidence, when it's really just fatigue. They think they're quitting because the strategy failed, or because they finally figured out what's wrong with it. But the decision is often made without new information, just stronger feelings. Most of the time, they quit because uncertainty becomes emotionally exhausting. Doubt replaces discipline, and consistency starts to feel pointless. The plan doesn't break, the investor breaks, and the longer the middle lasts, the more tempting it is to start over. Switching strategies feels like progress. Motion feels comforting. But often it's just relief. The relief of doing something different, without evidence that anything improved. You restart the clock right before the edge would have appeared. Successful investors don't feel less feared. They feel it too, sometimes even more, because they understand risk clearly. The difference is that fear doesn't get to drive the steering wheel. They plan for it and stay stable anyway. They simply stay uncomfortable longer than most people are willing to. They can hold a plan steady while the world keeps shouting. They don't need to feel confident every day. They just keep showing up, following rules, and letting time do the heavy lifting. They don't predict the future. They manage themselves, position sizing, rules, attention, and reactions to noise. They reduce the number of decisions emotions can hijack and build a process that is boring, repeatable, and resilient. This connects directly to what we discussed last time. Psychology doesn't replace strategy. It supports it and protects it from impulsive changes, long enough for the edge to show up in real life, not just on paper. Psychology protects strategy when results are slow, when doubt creeps in, and when quitting feels justified. Strategy fails most often not because it's wrong, but because it isn't given enough time and calm executing to work. Your job is to stay functional inside uncertainty. Next time you feel the urge to quit, don't ask, "Is this working?" That question is usually driven by discomfort, not by evidence. It's the brain asking for relief. Pause long enough to separate what you feel from what has actually changed. Ask instead, has anything fundamentally changed? Has the business deteriorated? Has the valuation become unreasonable? Has your thesis been disproven, or is it just noise? Fundamentals change slowly. Emotions change fast. Don't let the fast thing override the slow thing. Then ask, am I reacting to discomfort? Discomfort can look like a broken strategy if you're not careful. Write down the evidence you would need to change your mind, and notice whether you actually have it today. Most people don't quit because they're wrong. They quit because waiting hurts, and patience feels harder than action, especially when nobody is clapping. The market doesn't reward comfort, it rewards endurance. And endurance is mostly a psychological skill, not an IQ test. This channel isn't about predictions or shortcuts. It's about thinking clearly when emotions get loud and decisions feel heavy. Here's a simple rule for this week. Don't measure your process by today's comfort. Measure it by whether fundamentals changed and whether you followed your rules. If fundamentals are intact and rules were followed, discomfort isn't a signal. It's the cost of staying in the game. If that way of thinking matters to you, more videos like this are coming. We'll keep building practical, calm discipline, one idea at a time. And if you've ever quit right before it worked, you're not alone. You can train this skill like any other.